Hi, in today's video, I'm going to talk about the MyBatis. It is one of the um, library or a framework available for Java developers. Before we get into the demo or the code base, let me explain why MyBatis is used. If you are a Spring Boot developer, you know that how Spring Boot is very advanced and easy for developers to quickly go and use any database related database related queries with just one line of command. Spring Boot can do all the magic behind, right? So if you go and show you some of the examples where just to give a quick glimpse that assume that my database has um, a stocks as a table and it has a list of columns like this, and it got the equivalent for each and every domain object is basically, I mean, what you see here, right? The domain, whatever the class you see inside of the domain folder or a package, it corresponds to the MySQL database, and the database, the particular table name is stocks. All right. So I think if you are a Spring Boot developer, you know that the domain object and the repository. If you are new to the Spring Boot, please go and watch other videos, maybe my video or some other videos in the YouTube to understand how to create a Spring Boot or how to manipulate a database through the Spring Boot. So in this video, we will see how MyBatis is something like icing on the cake that can give you very advanced way of managing the MySQL queries in the Spring Boot. So assume that I wanted to get the stocks. You all know you can go into the repository interface. Assume that the stock has the symbol or many columns, right? So if you want to find the stocks, you can type like a single, I mean, if you need a single stock by a query, let's say stock find the first by value less than, right? You can type something like that. So value is basically in the form of double. So you can say double, whatever the value, okay? Double value or something. You are going to call this particular interface method from your controller or service component or anywhere. Then you will get the first item which is lesser than the particular parameter that or a value that you pass, right? So Spring Boot is really taking care of huge queries by a single line, and it does the magic. All right. So what if, I mean, this is a pretty simple example, right? It just going, and you can go and put a many condition and create a that is so and so data. Whatever the parameter you can pass, everything is really simple and you can manage, right? So if I need a, I mean, I'm writing one of the ERP software where the queries are huge and it's very big. I mean, it is connecting multiple tables like inner join, left join, or outer join. There are many concepts behind the MySQL query selection. So for those cases, I mean, we all know how to use, right? For example, I can come here, I can use the query class, correct? So you can use the query, and you can put your query inside of this particular I mean the annotation, right? So this annotation you can put something like that, and you can write your query right inside that. Let's say, assume, let's take one of the examples. So this is one of the query from my one of the ERP that I'm working on. So if I go and paste it here, if you really see that one just for a one line of, I need a data from the query, from the database, and it involves at least 10 lines of query with the condition and all. I mean, putting like this inside of the query annotation and passing the parameter will definitely work very well and everything is fine. But look at the code. I mean, merging the SQL code inside of the Java class with a multi-line, it's really not looking great. Though it will work. I mean, though it will work perfectly with whatever the query and parameters that you are passing, but maintaining such a huge queries inside of the the interface class is really difficult. I mean, you cannot maintain proper documentation, all those things. It's very, very difficult. So that's where really MyBatis come and gives the greatest way of writing little abstraction in the sense. So it just create an interface class, the exactly like what you see here, right? The interface class, and it also gives another XML file. The XML file will take care of the queries. Okay, for example, to just give an idea, let's say account read mapper. You see, this is exactly the interface, right? This is the way we write in the Spring Boot. Uh, this, I mean, you see, these are all the method. So in order to connect the multiple tables, you cannot directly write in the Spring Boot interface, right? So you need to use the query, what I explained a few minutes before, right? So here in the example, right? So this looks a little ugly. So that's the reason MyBatis gives a way to write the interface method in one file, and the whatever the method you write here, you can go and write a similar query as a separate file with a specific ID. You see this ID, right? So every ID will have a corresponding interface method here, or another way, every method you see in this interface will have a corresponding um, query in the XML file. So what is the benefit here? So the only benefit is you can you can write a query in a separate file, something like that. This is 100% MySQL query. So it has a variety of tags. For example, you wanted to select something, you can use a select. You wanted to update, you can write update. You wanted to delete, you can delete something. So those things are very well documented here in this documentation. MyBat is really, really well documented. You know, the up, I mean, I would say that library for a Spring Boot. Okay, so if you are, I mean, if you don't know how to Spring Boot, you can definitely go ahead and look at other videos you can create. But in this video, I'm going to use one of my existing application. I mean, this is a robotic trading application that I'm writing on. I am going to soon post this into the video, and this will be available as an open source also. If you are really a stock market trader, you can use this in order to automatically do the stock. I mean, the buying and selling and all. So, I mean, leaving that aside, let's go and introduce the Spring Boot here, right? So the first step, just go and open your pom.xml and go to your dependency. I mean, end of the dependency of uh, wherever you want to paste, whatever the method you follow. So in my case, I will always add the new dependency at the end of the dependency. I mean, so under the home file, I just copy paste this one. I do little format I usually do. So this is the only step necessary. There are advanced level configuration that I will show when it is necessary. But in this case, if you have existing Spring Boot or a new Spring Boot, just use this particular dependency, then it is more than enough to kickstart. All right. So let's go and write the interface function. In order to write, you need to have mapper class in your domain object, or I mean domain object, and in the repository. All right. So let's go and create the mapper class. Okay, so in order to do that, just go and click and create a new package under the domain object. Okay, mappers. All right, so just hit enter. Inside of the mapper class, you are really going to create the interface method. All right, so here, if you look at the other ERP, I told you, right? So there are many mapper class. It is not necessary you have to write a too many mapper files, but this is a very big application. The ERP taking care of account management, people management, project management, workflow, and many things. So in order to make it clutter free, the mapper is created for each and every module separately. So in order to maintain the code clearly. But in order to begin with, we can just start one mapper class. I mean, that's more than enough to um, understand how MyBatis works. So here, just go on to create an interface class. The class name is going to be, let's say, you create like a users mapper or a roles mapper. I mean, please note that it is not necessary you have to create a separate mapper for each and every table. Just one mapper interface is enough to do everything. That if you are writing a bigger application, please try to create a different mapper based on the modular. I mean, you know how to structure your program, right? So you can create a mapper like that. So here, what I'm going to do is like a common mapper. So assume that a very common things I'm going to write here in case the sorry, stock specific, buying, and I mean like a trading specific. I'll write a separate um, mapper file. All right. So I'm writing here as a common mapper. As you create, you all know the Eclipse. It can really do the magic of putting the necessary thing. So the first step is just go and add the mapper annotation. Please note that in your typical repository, you might be using repository as an annotation, right? So if you could open the repository, you might be adding repository because now we add the MyBatis, just add the mapper. Once you add it, it may not add mapper as an annotation. So once you save, it may not resolve the dependency. Just click and import the dependency. Please, I mean, if you don't see the dependency here, you may need to really right click your home and click the Maven and update the sub menu. I mean, it's not showing in my screen, but you know Eclipse, right? So just right click and go down further. You will see Maven as a menu. Under you can just click update, so it will resolve the automatic import of any Maven dependency that you have added here. I mean, maybe your Eclipse setup will automatically resolve the dependency as soon as you paste this, but it will vary machine to machine. So once you added this particular mapper is ready. In addition to that, please note down you need to do one more additional step. So initially we discussed, right? There are two things. One is the repository, I mean the interface which is equivalent to the repository. The another one is you need to create the equivalent XML file. That's where our queries are going to be, right? So just go here and in the resource folder we need to create the same set of folder like how you have here, right? The exact way the folder should be here. So let's go and create a package. In that, again, it is going to be remain the same, but the only different, this one is going to hold your XML. All right. So what I mean, we are going to create under the resource folder, right? But this one is um, something wrong. So let's go and select the resource. All right, let's finish. Now you see created. You see the folder is created for you as like as your the package folder. Please note that your component, I mean your mapper package should be exactly same to the XML folder. Okay. Inside of this folder, let's go and create a simple text. I mean, like text file which is nothing but the XML file. Okay, so paste the common mapper dot XML. So again, this is very important that the interface function should be exactly named as a XML file. That's where Spring Boot will automatically manage the I mean, it will automatically correlate both of them. So in addition to that, sorry, so you need to type a few lines of word here, but let me try to copy from the. Okay, it is not available. Maybe I'll type so fast, or I'll copy paste, because it's not really necessary. We need to sit down and write it. So we need to have this particular lines from your code. I mean, if you go to the Spring Boot or MyBatis example, so you can see this code over there. Okay, so plus you need to um, make this line. All right, so this is a basic set, like so in the interface function, these are all the basic setup line, right? So similarly you need to write this basic setup, and then you need to change this to the same method of what we have written here. Okay, plus the exact class name. So in our case, mappers and common mapper. Okay, please note that, as I mentioned earlier, if you need so in your Spring Boot you might have the different, I mean, repository for each and every table, right? But here you need not to have um, the mapper interface for every single uh, table in the database, but based on your application module you can create as many as um, the interface function and the equivalent XML. All right, so can we just go ahead and test this whether it works? All right, so first can we just, I mean, let's write one of the method. Okay, so it is stock find the first by, I mean, you can type whatever the way you want, right? So this is like a method string symbol. I'm going to pass the name of it. Okay, I just return a function. So as like as any other import, you can import the necessary thing. um, I mean, if you want to really add a, you wanted to retrieve this value as a stock, you can bring a stock. But sometimes you may wonder, hey, I'm trying to bring the data from the multiple tables, so the domain object is not really possible, right? Because the data value is coming from the different tables. So it is obviously it is fine to use the hash map, because it's very handy and very powerful. Okay, so you can use any object. I mean hash map, but in our case, what I'll do, I'll use for stock. I mean, then I will write I mean, I'll inner join with other table to bring the hash map. Okay, so we return the function. As we do, please note that every, I mean, instead of, this is a key, right? Instead of writing the query here, we are going to write a query in the XML file. That's the only difference, right, between the Spring Boot own repository interface comparing to the MyBatis interface. Okay, so let's go ahead and type select id equal to this value, and that's it. All right. So in order to, I mean, you can also specify what type of data that you wanted to give a response or something like that. Okay, so let me quickly show you that with some examples. Let's say, all right, so the additional attribute result type. So I mean, what data that I'm going to return in this selection, I'm going to return this particular object instead of hash map, right? So let's place here and do type stock. So this particular select method is going to return the response as a stock domain object. So please note that as like as the repository interface, MyBatis can also produce the domain object. All right. So let's say select a star from stocks where symbol equal to, you can type the parameter something like this. Okay, so this is the variable that is getting passed here. So whatever the name that you type here, that should be exactly typed here, so that MyBatis will interpolate this kind of variable whatever the variable you pass here, it will interpolate here. Okay, so can you just go ahead and test this, right? Just go to your test class. I mean, you can use this method, or you can write as many as method you want like this. But in our case, we are just going to do a quick test whether it works, or whether I mean, it may require additional configuration. But a quick thing, let's go ahead and do a test. Okay, so trading utils. All right, I can write. I'm just thinking what we can make as a class, right? So let's go on to create one package called trading mapper. Okay, so I'm just going to do mapper related test. So that I'm writing a mapper test. I mean, it's up to you. You can do whatever the way you want. Okay, and go ahead and create a new class called uh, mapper test. All right. So just I mean, don't feel bad, just quickly do the copy whatever the thing that you wanted in order to make your test. I mean, I know this are all the things not necessary, you can delete them once you're done. Okay, sorry about that, I deleted required items. Okay, so here we can, as you know, right, we write a test the annotation, um, like find or get from stocks by mapper, whatever the method you think of. Okay, so it is a void method. Okay, so just import your test annotation stuff. It is stock find find. Okay, we need to import the mapper, right? Auto void, like any other interface repository interface, you can use the mapper also as a auto void. Okay, so do the import and common mapper. Okay, and I use the same name with the lowercase in order to declare the variable or auto void. So here just find the first by symbol. Okay, in my database, uh, select a star from symbols, limit 5, and I'm just going to show you what are all the symbols are available. Yeah, okay, hit enter. Okay, sorry, it's not a symbol, it's a stocks. Okay, so assume that there are many. Assume this one. Let's pull this 20 microns. Okay, so pass this as a string. Okay, and do import this stock. We are almost there, right? In order to test, I mean, how do we test? Like assert. We need to type assert equals, right? Let's say assert equals the name we collect must be from the stock dot get name. Okay, done, right? Let's go ahead and test. Right click and sorry, the screen is not visible, and you can just right click and go down to um, J, I mean run as, under you will see the J unit test. So in my screen is bigger, I just capture from portion of the screen. So right click and run the test, and let's wait for the test result. Okay, it is running, and because it is, we put the Spring Boot test, it will connect the database and it will make the necessary thing. Okay, now you see the test is passed, right? If it failed, then it would have thrown an error. So in order to really see the stock, and you can just go ahead and print the stock, I mean, if you wish. Okay, so dot toString. Let's check whether the stock has a toString method. Okay, let's add the necessary method. Okay, we just added the toString, and now let's go ahead and write the test case. Run as JUnit. Okay, it just go and connect, and it pulls the data. So we have the result. All right, so it's a successful. So in order to see the value that we printed, you see it is getting the data from the database. Now the Spring Boot developer may wonder, hey, why this really common mapper makes sense here? I don't understand all this, because I can go and write a stock equal to, because there is a stock repository here, right? So there is a stock repository which I can auto wire, correct? So I can go ahead and auto wire this particular stock repository. I can use the same method I written. Sorry, why this is throwing error? Isn't it there? Okay, so, come on. Okay, something wrong. Maybe it's a problem with the Eclipse. I think I can deal that. Let's go and the other test I might have. So there must be proper import. I mean, my Eclipse doesn't catch the thing. Okay, so let's put it here. It will get resolved. So now you can wonder, why can't I simply use like find first by symbol, the same method? What really difference make here? As I told you, in order to write a complex queries, we need to, if in case of repository, we need to use the query annotation, right? Here you need to write a query annotation. Instead, the map really makes the code very clean. It keeps the Java separate and the query MySQL query separate. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some inner join. Okay, select show table stock. I will think I'm sure the rest of the thing may not have the value. Now select a star from open and close prices. Okay, there are something. Let's write some queries. Okay, select um, open, sorry, prices from stocks. Okay, let's write and test here. All right. Go to the common mapper. We do test. I mean, it is not necessary you have to do a test only. You can even do the update. You can do the delete. You can do like update, delete, read, like a select and all. Okay. So find the open, close prices. Okay. So this time you see I'm going to merge multiple tables together, so I cannot bring the result type as a map, I mean the particular domain object. Instead I can use the particular hash map. I mean, you can use hash map for any result, then you can get the output. All right, so let's hold on a minute. I can just go and type let's say Java util map. I mean, if you are not sure, let's go and it will start, sorry, yeah, java.util.map. Okay, or if you are too difficult to do this, you can even type a map. It is more than enough. Okay, so select, right, go ahead and select star from inner join stocks on stocks dot id equal to, because the open close price has a um, foreign key, like primary key foreign key relationship. Okay, so if you look at this particular stock id, it will have a connection. Okay, so this join stocks dot id and open close prices dot stock id. Okay, let's go and check whether we have um, all right. Anyway, we are going to pause the the stock, the symbol idea, right? We use where stock dot symbol equal to symbol. All right. So here let's use this, write the equivalent method. In this case, we are going to use um, hash map. Okay. So we use the same. We'll use the same parameter. Please note that if you are selecting multiple, you can use the list and all. Okay, those things are absolutely fine. So we get the hash map. Let's go here. Sorry, in the query side. Before we go and test, let's see whether we have some value here in the database. I mean, with some connection. Okay. Um, okay. So it matches. All right. So and the comma stock dot id as stock id. Okay. So it will really work, right? Um, okay, so now we get the stock. I mean, we select two tables together. That's the reason I use a map. In case you are creating a separate, um, I mean, let's say POJO object you wanted to map like this. It's absolutely up to you. You can definitely do. So let's go and test this in our mapper class. So here, let's do. I mean, sorry, I'm writing two test cases in the same. That's fine. Hash map object stock equal to, okay, I'll type different variable now, common mapper dot find the same one. Okay, we done. Okay, do import the hash map. Let's use the same way. Stock map dot toString and asset stock dot get. Let's go and find the name. Okay, so here also in the particular table, let's sorry, um, well, let's try this. Okay, stocks dot symbol stock symbol. All right, so I'm going to, sorry, let's do the snake case. Okay, stock symbol, and now use that dot get. Sorry, I write a Python code. Okay, so we done it. Let's go and do the um, unit test. Right click and go to the run as, and there will be unit test, and click that, and just save all. That's okay, and you will see the result now. So I hope you understand how MyBatis really helps to keep the query separate and the interface class separate. Okay, so it is throwing an error because just go ahead and copy. We want to find one of the stock. Okay. Oh, there are, okay, it gets a true result. That's the reason there's an error. So now what we did, just to be sure, we added a limit one, and now let's go ahead and test. Run and unit test. So now it will go and connect the database with the mapper functionality, and it will query. Okay, it really throws an error. Okay, let's organize this. Okay, it is not connecting. Maybe the parameter I passed could be the error. So I guess the problem is with this particular word. Okay, so let's save this and go ahead and run as unit test. Okay, so you see both text gets printed and test case is really succeed. Okay, so this is the open and close prices of hash map. Okay, here you see um, the symbol underscore name and the symbol underscore ID and all. So the result is really coming very well. Okay, so um, in the similar method, you can type. I mean, you can call many methods, something like the insert statement, for which you can pass the parameter. Let's say, let's type this insert ID in, or I would say insert stocks or a stock parameter type equal to, you can pass the parameter as a stock. You know, if you have a really stock as a domain object, the repository method is more than fine. So I use MyBatis heavily for a select statement from the multiple table. Of course, you wanted to write insert ignore into, which is very difficult to write. Not difficult, you need to first select and check the ID and before you insert. Um, but in the mapper class, you can I would say you can write insert ignore into. It's a powerful query in the MySQL, right? So those things, for example, insert ignore into stocks, like you can type like ID, symbol, name, created at, updated at, and all those things, values. I'll just use another line, values. Okay, you can type like dot id, um, name, right, um, symbol, and you can also create like now it's a MySQL command in order to get that for the time. Okay, so you can type even something like that, because if you look at the symbol um, table, it is written as a unique constant that the symbol cannot be duplicated in case if you are inserting once again by mistake or from some data dump import. So the insert ignore into will do the save, right? But in the repository interface, you need to find whether it is exists. If it is exists, you need to skip or something like that. But in the MyBatis, it does really single line. So like that, there are many use cases. If you start using the mapper, you can understand the advantages of um, MyBatis and the benefit. Um, and I hope you like this video, and especially you understand how MyBatis really works. I mean, it is not necessary you need to use this only in the Spring Boot. I mean, if you are a Java developer, I mean Java-based web developer, I'm sure you might be using the Spring Boot because it's the most popular and widely adapted. Even if you're using very like a servlet kind of thing or any other framework, MyBatis is available, which you can quickly integrate with your Java code. So if you might have some questions, I'm sure, please post that in the comment section. I'm sure I will answer them. And if you have some difficulty in implementing it, and please feel free, and you can schedule a one-on-one meeting with me. Please look at my channel description. You can have my calendar access. You can schedule a calendar and you can directly talk to me. Again, feel free. Just let's have a free chat, and I would be happy to help you. So thanks for watching. See you in another video. Bye for now.